The lead-gray clouds were like compacted powder kegs. And as the thunder rolled behind the Rocky Mountains, James Harper's truck was rolling over the muddy driveway of the ranch. In the rain curtain, the figure in the pen made him hold the steering wheel tightly with his knuckles. The warhorse named Samson, now with its ribs protruding beneath the faded mane and its back hunched like an old trench washed by the rainstorm. The faded battle flag. The empty battlefield in the eyes of the military horses. Is that you? Samson. His voice was torn apart by the sound of the rain. The warhorse that once carried him through the ambush circle in the Afghan desert was now merely slowly turning its ears, with rain curtains reflected in its pupils, but it showed no sign of familiarity at all. James felt the rust on the fence and recalled the sensation of warm blood splashing on his tactical vest. When Samson blocked the shrapnel with his body during the IED explosion 7 years ago. When the young farm worker Jenny handed over the raincoat, she saw James staring at the old scar on the horse's leg. It was left when he cut the reins with a saber to save it. "It won't let anyone approach," Jenny whispered, lest it's staring blankly at the distant mountains when feeding carrots. James suddenly recalled that on the day of the evacuation from Kabul, Samson was also looking in the direction of the airport like his hooves, repeatedly digging the ground as if searching for a dog tag buried in the sand. Unexploded cartridge cases, the echoes of gunfire deep in memory. When the rainstorm was at its heaviest at midnight, James was awakened by a nightmare. The explosion outside the tent turned into raindrops hitting the roof of the wooden house. He stumbled and rushed to the livestock pen, where he saw Samson frantically digging the ground. The white vapor coming out of his nostrils in the rain curtain looked just like the smoke of a battlefield. When he trembled and hummed the tone of a horse in the army, the warhorse suddenly stopped, its ears quivering frequently. That was the special signal they used to confirm safety when crossing the minefield back then. "I shouldn't have left you behind." James' forehead was pressed against the fence, and the rain mixed with tears was flowing down. He recalled that when he was discharged from the military, he woke up in the mental hospital due to a PTSD attack, and only then did he learn that Samson had been sent back to the ranch. At this moment, the warhorse suddenly pushed aside the carrot in his hand with its nose, rested its chin on his shoulder, and let out a whining sound from its throat, just like the commotion it made when it stood by his bedside in the field hospital back then. Rusty horse's paw, the bond growing from the scar. The sudden downpour before dawn stopped suddenly, and James found Samson's hoof stuck in the crack of the fence. When he knelt down and pried it with a Swiss Army knife, the warhorse remained standing all the time, its muscles tense but not struggling. This absolute trust reminded him of the scene when Samson first asked him to clean the horse's hooves during the recruit training. Amid the sound of metal friction, a piece of shrapnel embedded in a horseshoe fell onto the muddy ground, with dark red rust still remaining at the edge. "Look at this." Jenny ran over, holding her mobile phone. On the screen was a post from the Retired Horse Association, Appaloosa, no, 739, who saved 3 soldiers in the explosion at Kabul airport, refused to eat due to post-traumatic stress disorder. James stroked the star-shaped white spot on Samson's ear root and suddenly understood why it always stared at the distant mountains. That was the direction they patrolled every dawn in Afghanistan. The golden morning light. The rebirth ceremony of war horses and veterans. When the first ray of sunlight pierced through the clouds, James led Samson towards the highest hill of the ranch. The horse's paws trampled over the moist grassland, and the startled dewdrops shone on its mane, as if adorned with miniature medals. On the top of the mountain, he unfastened the old national flag tied to the saddle. The bullet holes in the fabric crackled in the wind, and Samson suddenly knelt down. This was their last farewell ceremony in front of the military camp. When they were discharged from the military, later, people often saw veterans and war horses heading towards the hilltop at dusk. On James' PTSD diagnosis, next to the word symptom relief, there was a photo pasted. Samson's nose rubbed against the scar on his wrist, and in his hand he was holding shards taken from a horse's hoof. The metal surface was rubbed until it shone like a repolished metal. That belated reunion enabled the 2 souls scorched by war to finally find each other's return signal on the pasture after the storm. What do you think was the detail that touched you the most about James' reunion with Samson? Leave a comment to share your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel to see how they join the Veterans Horse Healing Program and help more veterans get over their trauma.